Let's have a look at stress, shall we? All right, stress. Stress is the body's reaction to feeling threatened or under pressure. It's very common, can be motivating to help us achieve things in our daily lives, and can help us meet the demands of home, work and family life. Now, that was the first description of stress when I typed it into Google. Now, I don't know about you, but that's quite good. And the reason I've put this in straight away, when I wanted a description of stress, and like you, I went to Google and went, stress. What's stress? What's stress management? And what is stress? That's what I put in there. Thinking people, it was going to come back, oh, it's this, it makes you depressed and anxiety and da-da-da. And actually, the first thing that came back was stress can be good. So I want you to bear that in mind, because the rest of the session is about dealing with bad stress. But the point I want to make here is stress can be very, very, very good. Okay? So what stress does, well, and this is my argument, and I know I'm playing semantics with words, is it stress that's good or is it pressure that's good? Because it does say it's your body's reaction feeling threatened or under pressure. Now, I've always said there is a difference between pressure and stress. I've always said that. Pressure good, stress bad. That's the way I've always looked at it, which doesn't quite... But what this is getting at is some stress is good and some stress is bad. Okay? In my head, all stress is bad, but pressure is good. Okay? So I know I'm playing semantics with words, but the point is, when we do feel under pressure, it actually can give us energy, it can be motivating, it can help us meet demands, deadlines, and so on, and so on, and so on. For some reason, oh, that's it, I've got everybody back now. I lost people for a moment then. Somebody spotlighted somebody else, I think. So hopefully you can still see me, you got me on widescreen, okay? So just bear this in mind, guys. It's very common that it can be motivating. I would call it good pressure. When you're under pressure, good pressure is good. We like to put people under a bit of pressure. It gets people motivated, gets people working. We just had a comment here. Pressure is only good if warranted. If unnecessary, it's not good. So coming back to my description, Darren, unwarranted pressure would be stress. So that's what I'm trying to get at. Okay? So pressure is good to a certain degree because it stretches people, it makes people move a bit further, it makes people move a bit quicker, it motivates people, all good. If it's not necessarily though, if it tips that balance, which is what I think you're trying to get at, Darren, if it tips that balance, in my opinion, it ceases being pressure and now it's stress on the back of it. And that's why I would say pressure is good, stress is bad. Doesn't really fit in, because this is saying some stress is good. I don't like the word stress is good, because most people say stress and automatically think bad, so we might as well just call it bad. So I would say some pressure is good. It's got to be warranted, as you've rightly said, Darren, because if it's not warranted, then it will turn to stress, and stress is then going to be bad for us. So just bear that in mind. Pressure, good. We like to be under a bit of pressure. It's always good. Gets people thinking, stretches them a bit, gets people motivated, gets people moving. But if it's unwarranted, as Darren said, or there's too much of it, it turns into stress, and then stress goes bad. We have a negative reaction to stress at this point. Earlier on today, I showed this model on the call before. I'm not going to go through it again. I just want to show you this line. This line, if you're on this morning, you'll remember it. If you weren't, this is what it is. This is a cognitive behavioural model. Attitude, good attitude, feel great, peak performance. Bad attitude, feel lousy, worst type performance. However, the main thing that causes stress is when somebody doesn't feel right and they're having to do a perfect or great job. So the stress is causing an imbalance. You would have heard me use this term before, lack of gestalt, lack of imbalance in the system. This is what causes it. This is the main cause of stress. When somebody doesn't feel particularly great and having to do something that's fantastic. Okay? If you felt fantastic, you would do the fantastic thing and it wouldn't cause you any type of stress. But this is called the stress line. This is what causes it. That lack of Gestalt. So, lack of Gestalt. Gestalt is a German word. The closest translation is whole, or pattern, or form. In other words, Gestalt is a holistic process. It regards the individual as a totality of mind, body, emotion and spirit. So that's quite a wordy description for Gestalt, isn't it? But that Gestalt, it means whole. It means feeling right. It means balance. It means equilibrium. Okay? And when that equilibrium is broke, stress occurs. Okay? So if I go back to the traffic jam example, the reason people get stressed is because you are expecting the traffic to be free-flowing, and then it's not free-flowing. You will now have a balance of the internal picture in your head versus the picture in the outside world. It causes lack of Gestalt, which generates stress from the hypothalamic part of your brain. The only problem is your brain still works in fight or flight mode like we were cavemen and women. So if you're walking across the road and there's a car coming at you and you need to get out the way, you go into a stress mode, your body releases adrenaline into the system so you can move and get out of the way. Very, very useful. Tick a box. If you're sitting in a traffic jam, not so useful. Because that adrenaline's got nowhere to go in your system. And the brain doesn't understand the difference between fear and danger. Doesn't understand the difference between the two. It's quite an important point, this is. You know, so if you're in danger, you get a shot of adrenaline into your system. If you're in fear, you get a shot of adrenaline into your system. So, public speaking, doing presentations, things like this that I'm doing now. Third biggest fear in the Western world, public speaking. Third biggest fear in the Western world, okay? Just checking numbers, that's all right. Death was 7th on the list, so you work that out. People would rather die than do public speaking. I'm not quite sure that's the case. But the point is this: if you ask 7, 8 out of 10 people, if you get them into a training room and then go, right, at the end of the day, you're all going to be doing presentations, right? You should see the look of fear on their faces. Now, the point is, the brain doesn't then sense fear, it senses danger. And it puts you into a stress mode at that point, because now the internal picture in your head does not match the outside world. It's like being put on the spot in a meeting, for instance, when you haven't got the information, yeah? Or doing a job that you aren't qualified to do, or doing a job that you haven't done before, or whatever it is, or picking up a spider. It doesn't really matter. The fact is, you get a shot of adrenaline into your system, but unlike moving out of the way of a car, you don't use the adrenaline. The adrenaline stays in your system. Now, adrenaline is one of the best drugs that we can have when we need it. When we don't, it turns toxic in the system, causing more stress. It makes you feel worried, sick, stressed, depressed, angry, frustrated, upset, depressed. Whichever way it comes out in you, that's what stress causes in your body when you've got all of this stuff in your system and you're not releasing it in the way that you would in a fight or flight situation. Okay? So, you know, I once had a gentleman in a room that said, you know, but when I'm stressed, nothing can seem to get me out of it. When I get stressed, you know, nothing can get me out of that feeling. So I said to him, go on a 5-mile run. And he kind of looked at me, and I went, because I'll guarantee you, you will feel less stressed. You will feel less stressed if you go on a 5-mile run. Now, he did look at me and go, 5-mile run will kill me, right? Now, the point I'm making here, if you're not a runner, right, is you haven't got to go on a 5-mile run. The point I'm making is one of the things that helps with stress, which is one of the top tips I'm going to give you, is physical exercise, because it physically removes the chemical, the stress chemical, the adrenaline in your system out. This is why you've heard me bang on over the last 6 or 7 months about make sure you're going out for a walk, make sure you're walking a dog, make sure you're doing this, make sure you're doing that, make sure you've got a hobby, make sure, because it releases stress chemical. It releases chemical. One of the best things. I've got 10 for you today, but that's one of the best ones, yeah, to do. So just bear that in mind. Your brain gets tricked sometimes. When we see stress, When we see something as human beings, it doesn't compute as danger or fear. It all computes as danger in our heads, because danger and fear are the same things. Yeah. This is why people like watching horror movies. Now, horror movies aren't real; they're all made up. Yeah. But people still get scared. Yeah, and feel, oh God, I'm still shaking. Yeah. The shaking, by the way, if you ever shake and you say you're nervous, that's not nerves. It's got nothing to do with the nerve endings in your body whatsoever when you're shaking. It's too much adrenaline in your system. It's got nowhere to go. So it makes you shake. So the reason I'm sharing all this with you is to go, this is all chemical within us. There are things that we can do in order to deal with those stress. Yeah? And nobody really makes us stressed. Nobody puts us under pressure. We put ourselves under pressure and we stress ourselves out from it. And you might be going, oh, I don't know about that, John. You know, my boss gives me deadlines that I need, you know, and I don't think they're achievable, and so on and so on and so on. That's fine, but whether that causes stress in you, they're not in charge of your chemicals. It's like letting somebody else walk through your mind with their dirty feet. Yeah? It's a choice that we make. Yeah? So, yes, there are things we would rightly get stressed about. Yeah? Fight or flight will kick in if your brain perceives any kind of danger or harm to you. So if you're working on a deadline, and that deadline, you're getting stressed about it, yeah, then your brain's going, right, if we don't hit that deadline, there's going to be some pain. So then it goes into fight or flight, releases a load more adrenaline into your system, and if you're not dealt with in the right way, that adrenaline turns toxic in the system and makes you feel stressed, worried, sick, depressed, anxious, whichever way it comes out in the system. Okay? And it's all because there is a lack of balance. There's a lack of the picture in your head versus the outside world. And this is the biggest cause of stress. When we look at the world and we go, shouldn't be that way. You shouldn't do it that way. Yeah? I drive myself mad with it. I'm a high red profile. As far as I'm concerned, the way that I do things, everybody should do them that way. It's a terrible, terrible, terrible thing to have. High reds have it more than most. You know, this is the way to do it. Why are you doing it that way? Why would you do it a different way? You should be doing it this way. Lack of pictures causes me stress. Don't cause them stress. Causes me stress, not anybody else. So what can we do in order to deal with our own stress? Because if we don't deal with it, unfortunately, we all know, well, stress has an impact, doesn't it? So, I know you can't always see all of these words, guys. Again, this is a picture that I've had to blow up here. But it affects us in 4 different ways: mind, body, emotions, and behaviour. Okay? Stress can give you headaches. It can give you taut muscles. Physical taut muscles when you're out like that. It can make you have fatigue. It can give you skin irritations. It can make you breathless. These are all physical responses to the stress chemicals coming from the hypothalamus, in hypothalamic part of the brain. Okay? This is physical stuff that goes on. Absolute physical stuff that goes on. When I get stressed, my asthma gets really, really bad. Okay? There is a direct link for me. Quite happy to tell you that. When I'm under lots and lots of pressure, my lungs feel weak. They feel like I struggle for air. Much more than that. Jacqueline's just put, you keep cutting off. Guys, do I keep cutting off? Or is it Jacqueline's connection? Can somebody just tell me if I am cutting out? Or is it okay? Somebody just drop a note in the chat box. Can you all see me? Can you all hear me? Fine, mate. Okay, thanks, Darren. Jacqueline, I think it might be your connection. Yeah, there's a load of people putting fine. So, sorry, Jacqueline. I think it might be your internet connection. Good stuff. Thanks, guys. So, physical responses to stress, guys. Okay. Emotions, loss of confidence. You get more fussy. Irritability. Depression, apathy. Alienation, apprehension. So your emotions get affected by stress as well, in your behaviour. This one says smoking more. So if you smoke, you smoke more. Or you go back to smoking, whichever way. Yeah. Insomnia, can't sleep. That's a big one for me as well. I get that one. I get that one quite a lot. When I'm stressed, I struggle to sleep properly. It plays on my mind and stuff like that. You might drink more. Dare I say loss of sex drive. I'll leave that one up to you guys, but that's what happens when there's stress. Loss of appetite. Accident prone. You wouldn't think that some of these things come from stress. In the mind, you worry. Impaired judgment. Don't always make the right judgments. Indecisive. Negative. Maybe turn into a terrorist. If you came on the session this morning, organisational terrorists, when people are under stress, players can flip. They can flip into that terrorist box. Start moaning and whinging and all that type of stuff, yeah? So, loads of different things. Have I done mind? Yeah, I've done mind, okay? So, we know this. Here's a little stress meter for you. Little stress meter, okay? Serene, calm, concerned, worry, anxiety, panic, that this meter goes, you know? We've kind of got almost a traffic light system, but there's obviously 4 things on here, yeah? When we are not stressed, things are calmer, easier to see, more in balance. Comes back to Gestalt, doesn't it? More in balance, more one with the world around you, if that makes sense, okay? Then the stress starts to go up a little bit, doesn't it? And we might move up to like concerned about something. That might be okay. It might be a bit of pressure. Oh, I'm concerned about that. I'm just concerned about that situation over there at the moment. Just ekes up that little bit of stress, doesn't it, at that point? And then we go to the 3rd level. So now we've passed concern, and we've probably tipped the balance from positive to negative now, because now we get into worry. Now, concern can be quite healthy. It's okay to be concerned about things, isn't it? It's okay to be have a healthy concern about this and getting that right and doing your job properly and bringing your kids up and not getting COVID and everything else that we've had to face this year, yeah? But then, at some point, there's a line it tips over. So imagine you've got, 0 to 100, 50% of stress is good or pressure, and anything over 50% starts to tip you into the negative emotion state. And we go from concern maybe into worry, anxiety. Yeah? Now, anxiety in itself, you could argue a little bit of nerves is quite useful, can't you? I'm always a little bit nervous when I do these sessions. I'm always here to make sure the camera's on and this is working and that's working and all that type of stuff. Even though I know most of you guys on this call today, there's always a little bit of nerves when I'm about to do these, but it keeps me on point. It makes sure I've got the right presentation and all that type of stuff. But sometimes if it goes too far, the nerves turn into anxiety. And anxiety then starts to work against you. So anxiety then is often too much of bad chemical, too much adrenaline shooting into the system. Yeah? Now, adrenaline works for me doing this because while I'm doing this, I'm burning off the adrenaline anyway. So if I was nervous at the start, I wouldn't be at the end because I've used it all up, if that makes sense, yeah? But you've got to just watch that because that's where it turns. This is okay. This is even okay. Then it starts to turn, okay, into worry and anxiety. And finally, we get up into kind of a panic-like state. I've got to do this, I've got to do that by then, I've got to do this by then, I've got too much on, what's going on over there? We get into a panic-like state, which is actually, unless you are in a life or death situation, a panic-like state is not very useful. 4 different energy zones. Performance zone, which is where you want to be, confident, challenged. I would even say under a little bit of pressure here. That's the performance zone. You're in the pressure, you want to score the goal, win the game, achieve the project on time, whatever it may be. That's the performance zone. Sometimes we have to drop out of that and come into the recovery zone. Calm, relaxed, revival, getting energy back, sleep, all that type of stuff, yeah, if you do it properly, okay? Those are the good energy zones. What stress does is puts us in the negative energy zones. Mainly survival, but could be burnout, okay? So the survival mode is where people get angry, frustrated, tense, defensive, fearful and anxious. That tells us that that is stress that's causing it. The stress, that's what it moves you over into this zone. Now, prolonged exposure to this stress could actually flip your energy to nothing, and you move in to the burnout zone. And the burnout zone is exhausted, burnt out, defeated, hopeless, sad, or grieving. So they're both negative energy zones that stress will generate you into, okay? But one of them has lots of energy, top one. Bottom one has little energy, okay? And actually, doctors would tell you that the burnout zone is actually worse than survival zone. Most people think this is the worst type behavior, whereas doctors will tell you that burnout is the worst type behavior. Why? Because when you're angry and frustrated, you have a certain level of chemical in your system. There is a certain level of get up and go that you can actually, if you catch yourself doing this, you can channel it into the right way and get back over here. Whereas when you're down here, burnout, hopeless, there is a lack of chemical in your system, and then you struggle to get out of it at that point. And this is where you would have depression ultimately in here, down here. So nobody really wants to be in these zones. But stress moves us from these zones into these zones. Remember, pressure, good in this zone. Yeah, as long as it's, as Darren said earlier, as long as it's good pressure. Yeah, if it's unwarranted, you'll probably take it as stress, which will move you over here. Anyway, okay? But remember, we generate our own stress and our own pressure. Yes, we have external forces that is applied to us. I understand that, okay? But nobody is in charge of your chemicals in your system other than you. It takes a bit of practice and it takes a bit of time, and sometimes we don't always get it right, but there are some things that we can do in order to prevent us from getting into this zone in the first place, okay? If you are in this zone already, if you are in this position, yeah, I suggest you pause. Now, I haven't got the slide up here behind me, but some of you will remember the pause model that we've used before. Pause, acknowledge, understand, solution, and execute. But the key word in there is pause, P. When you are in this zone, one of the best things you can do is just stop. Just pause. Because when you're in this zone, you're running at 1,000,000 miles an hour. Okay? And I know some of you will be sitting there going, I ain't got time to pause. I ain't got time to pause. I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to do this, I've got to get that done, I've got to get this done, I've got to get that done. Well, put it this way. If you continue to do this, what you deliver will not be at its best, ultimately, and you will get ill at some point. So it's a choice that you've got. If you continue to run down the stress line, that stress line, and continue to feel angry and frustrated and annoyed and all this type of stuff, anxious, at some point your work will start to suffer, and more importantly your health will start to suffer. So if you are in this phase, the best advice I can give you right now is to pause. Just stop, take stock, yeah? Speak to somebody. I'm going to go through the 10 things that you can do to prevent this, but some of these things you can also do if you're in the middle of it as well, okay? Ultimately, if you live your life like that, well, it's not going to be that long, is it? Because we know what stress can do ultimately, don't we? Ultimately, stress can make us have a heart attack, can't it? Yeah, we don't want any of that going on, do we? So, for most people, it's not that bad, okay? For most people, stress is something you just don't like every now and then. Yeah? But we don't want to keep living in this zone. If you are constantly in this zone, or even moving between this zone and getting no recovery in whatsoever, then you're going to struggle. So, what are the 10 things that we can do to help us not really try and get over here, or only come over here at the worst, just at the odd occasion that we get over there, okay? And normally, by the way, if you find somebody's angry and frustrated, it's normally because they're passionate about something. People don't normally get angry and frustrated if they're not passionate about something. Okay, so if you can find that passion and redirect it, then you get them back over here. Okay, so let's have a look at these then. 10 top tips for you to take away today. Prevent stress. It's not just one fix. Okay, I'm not going to give you one thing today that you're going to take away and go, oh brilliant, I'm never going to be stressed again if I do this. Yeah, doesn't work that way, because there's so, like I said, you've got lots of things bombarding your brain, all the self-talk in your head that you say to yourself. Yeah, if you say things like, oh God, I'm just stressed, then that's the instruction you've given your brain. Okay, and your brain thinks in past, present and future tense in all in one go. So if you say I'm stressed, what you're actually saying to your brain is, I have been stressed, I am stressed now, and I'm always going to be stressed. That's how your brain takes it. So we've got to give ourselves a bit of a break on this, okay? It starts with the self-talk. That's the last point that I'm going to raise today, because we've done loads of work on that already. So, top tip number 1 then. It's not just one fix, remember, it's a multitude of things that you can take away. That's why I've got 10 in there for you to take away. So, this is something called the wellness wheel. Get a load of that. The wellness wheel. Say that after you've had a drink. What you've got here are all the different parts of people's lives, basically. And to be de-stressed, the first thing you need to do is do a diagnostic of where the stress is coming from. Okay? So on the wellness wheel, you've got occupation, so your job, your career. Spiritual. Now, spiritual doesn't, if you're an atheist, for argument's sake, it doesn't mean a godlike figure. Okay, if you're a Christian or a Muslim or whatever, you've got your own beliefs. That might include, that part of your life. But if you don't have a faith, it still still means the time that you have to reflect, if that makes sense. Yeah, that reflection time. So, is there enough of that in your life as well? We know that we work 5 days a week, so we know that a big part of our week, 5/7 of our week, is going to be in this phase, but there is time before and after work and all that type of stuff. So, are we doing enough? Is the stress coming from occupation? Is it coming because we haven't got enough spiritual time, reflection, recovery zone type of stuff? Is it an intellect thing? Is it that your brain needs more learning and development around certain things? So what learning and development do you give yourself on a regular basis? Is it physical? We'll come on to that in a moment, okay? Is it physical? Are you getting enough physical exercise? Is it emotional? Have you got enough emotional contacts? Yeah? Are your relationships right? Are they causing you stress or whatever it may be? Is it environmental? For a lot of people during COVID, this has been a cause of stress because they haven't been able to go to the office and now they're working in a bedroom or off a kitchen table or whatever it may be. So again, this has been a particular cause of stress for a lot of people going forward. And social. Is it a social? Is it the fact that you're not getting your social hierarchy of need? Which again, during COVID, it's been a big issue for a lot of people, especially high yellow types of people. So this is a wellness wheel, and it's quite a good wheel to look at. I try and look at this about every 3 months. I sit down every 3 months. If I'll be really honest with you, I haven't done it this year every 3 months. I think last time I did it was probably pre-COVID. I'm probably due to do it again. And sit down and if you had to score your life in these areas at a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being this is a nightmare, 10 being it's absolute serene, what would you give yourself? Marks out of 10 for each of these areas. Because in order to deal with stress, the first thing you've got to do is diagnose it. Where's it coming from? And it's easy to go, well, it's all work. Well, okay, if it is all work, if it is literally all work, then you might want to consider the role that you're in. Yeah? Or is it the time, is it the way you're approaching it, or whatever it may be. You'll probably find there are other areas that are contributing towards this, yeah? If I look at this now, stress-wise, my work was quite high for me for the last few weeks. It's lowered down a little bit now, actually. Spiritual, I haven't had a lot of time for reflection in the last couple of weeks, so I probably wouldn't mark that very high out of 10. Intellectual, when I'm learning new stuff, that's probably okay at the moment. Physical, not done a lot. I haven't been out working on my workshop for the last couple of weeks, so I've been wrapping Christmas presents and things. So I need to sort that one out. That needs to go a bit higher. Emotional, yeah, maybe I'm okay with that. I can have conversations with, whoever I need to. Environmental, studios all set up. I did start going out and seeing other people, practicing, training again face to face and stuff. So it's okay. Still not the best, so it's still not high. Social, well, I'm still not seeing my family. I haven't seen my 90-year-old, my nan, since March, so that's not that high either. So actually, if I did a bit of a diagnostic on where my stress is coming from, marks out of 10, in which areas of my life are brilliant versus not so brilliant, there's probably good 4 or 5 of them that I could think, okay, so how can I make a difference with them? So I urge you, take a screenshot of this while it's up. Yeah, take a screenshot if you want of this. Move out the way. There you go. Take a nice screenshot. Have a look at where your stress is coming from. Because the first point of call before dealing with stress is to diagnose where it's coming from, and then you can accurately go and deal with the stress. How to deal with the stress? Here's some ideas, okay? Seek out healthy activities. Now, for those of you that were on last week's session, you might remember that picture. I've put it up again. That picture came up when we did isolation impact. And I've put that up again purposely. And the reason I've done it purposely is because it's the same thing to get you out of isolation that it's also going to help with stress. The reason why I've put a picture of children up there is because sometimes it's worth asking yourself, what did you enjoy doing as a child? Yeah, think about what you enjoyed doing as a child, and then if you're not doing it now, go and do it again. I asked myself that question a number of years ago. Somebody said it to me, what did you enjoy doing as a child? And it was abseiling and canoeing and all the stuff you did at Scouts. That's what I like doing. So I kind of thought, why can't I do that again? I've now got children, why can't I take them and do that? So we found a place with a climbing wall and got a couple of canoes and all this type of stuff. And all of that stuff, it de-stresses. What it does is it puts you in a flow, and yourself and time fade away. So this was a great learning point for isolation impact. It's also a great learning point for stress management, okay? Do something that you used to enjoy. Get into the zone and release some endorphins, okay? You've got to release endorphins into your system. Endorphins is the best thing, in my opinion, and the shortest, quickest hit you can get to deal with stress. So endorphins do 2 jobs. They generate and give you energy. They're released by the system. Yeah. They also eat away at negative chemical in your system, which is why if you've been stressed for the day and go out for a run, it doesn't take the problems away for the day, but you will feel a little bit more distressed about it because it's eaten some of that negative chemical away. So find something to do. So find something physical to do, but something that you enjoy, something that you did when you were a kid. Yeah, go and do it again. And I know we've got COVID restrictions still in place, but do you know what? People that make it happen go and make it happen. Other people sit at home and say, I can't. There's always some way of doing stuff, isn't there? Yeah. What did you enjoy as a child? Swimming. Swimming's quite a good one. The feeling of weightlessness in the body. It releases the muscles. Okay? Steam room, sauna, stuff, anything that takes away the tightness, because your muscles can actually go full circle and cause more stress when you are feeling stressed. So when I feel stressed, I get a massage. So I go and get one. There's a sports psychologist in the office building we're in. I knock on their door and go, get me in, will you? Get me in. I need you to work on my back, work on my neck. Yeah. So there's always stuff that we can do, okay? So seek out healthy activities, okay? Relax. This one fits into the massage one that I've just said. Stretching, but you don't have to go and have a massage in the middle of the day. Look at the picture that I've put up here. Stretching exercises. And guys, if you're really, just go with me on this, right? Because if you're sitting there now listening to me, how many people we got on this session? 33, right, okay. If you're sitting there listening going, oh God, this sounds like a lot of mumbo jumbo, believe me, because I'm an anxious person, I have learnt these things over many, 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 many years. And if you do them in conjunction with each other, it makes a massive difference to your stress level going forward, okay? If you do them in isolation, if you sit there and do a few stretches for the next couple of days and then stop and don't do anything else, you'll look back and go, well, that doesn't work. Yeah? So this is a combination of all of these things. If you're sitting at your desk all day, that's the other excuse I get from people. I haven't got time to go out for a walk. I haven't got time to go and get a massage. I haven't got time to go to the gym. Okay, well sit there and stretch then. Sit there and stretch while you're in your work position, okay? Have a hot bath. Again, gentlemen, you don't have to put candles around it and have a bath bomb in it. Doesn't really matter. Red hot water relaxes the muscles in the system, helps people to de-stress. Massage, as I've said there, yeah? Invest in your sleep, okay? Now, what do you mean? What do I mean by invest in your sleep? Learn about how sleep works, okay? Go and research it. Find out how sleep patterns work. Make sure you set your alarm to wake up at the end of a sleep cycle rather than going into a new sleep cycle when you can. There are apps that will do this for you. There is information of what you shouldn't eat or drink before a certain time, and so on, and so on, and so on, and so on. Okay? So, work on your sleep, guys. Yeah, because that's one of the best ways to de-stress. If you have a bad night's sleep, it's like you start the day stressed. Your body hasn't got enough energy to do what you need to do, which makes you anxious and rolls on the stress. Okay? So, relax. Relax the muscles. Yeah? Our brains and muscles are not designed for modern stress, remember. They're designed to see a tiger in a jungle and run away from it once a day. They're not designed to sit at a computer and get stressed more and more and more and more and more all day. So you've got to give yourself, get some stretches going, do what you need to do in order to release that, okay? Number 4, eat the right thing. Okay, you'll see there, like donut apple. I know we all want the donut, yeah? But eat the right thing, because certain foods will give you stress, certain foods will help you reduce stress as well on the back of it. So, it will help you control your mood swings as well. If you have like lots and lots of bad stuff and sugar stuff and all that type of stuff, I make a beeline for this now. If I've had a particularly bad day and I'm feeling a bit stressed because I've got 1,000,001 things I need to do and it all needs to be done by the end of the week, right? I would normally be in pretty bad mood, go and get a kebab and eat that, and then just like, you know, well, I just feel bad, so I'm going to go and eat what I want, yeah? I really purposely now don't do that anymore. So when I'm feeling bad, feeling stressed and under pressure, I will go and find the healthiest thing I can to eat. Because I know the goodness of that food is going to help me get rid of that stress. It's one of the things that I can take control of to go and do that. Okay? So, if you want some key foods, get your pen ready. Here are some key foods that help combating stress. Sweet potatoes. Look, don't ask me why these foods combat stress. There must be something in them that eats away at the negative chemical, right? But here are some. Sweet potatoes, eggs, fatty fish, garlic, sunflower seeds, and blueberries. Now that list is not exhaustive. That was the top 5 or 6 things that I could find to put on this slide. Okay? So again, do a bit of research. What food can you eat? As well as the activities that you can do, as well as the stretches and the relaxing that you can do. Hopefully now you're starting to 3. I mean, we've only done 3 things there really. Yeah, but if you start to do them in combination, it majorly helps your stress move forward. Okay? Or get rid of it, whichever way you want to do it, right? Number 5, even though number 5 is 4-4-4. Okay, so get comfortable. Close your eyes. We're going to do this live right now. Okay? So everybody on the session, get comfortable. Close your eyes. This is called 4-4-4. It's called square breathing as well. Okay? So, I want you to picture a relaxing place in your mind. So pick, in your head, find a place that is relaxing. Mine is normally the beach on one of the Canary Islands. Yeah, sitting on a lounger listening to the waves just slap up to the sand. Okay, that's my picture. Think of your picture. Think of a nice, relaxing place. Okay, and I'm going to take you through what square breathing is, because this is quite a good one to de-stress when you need to in the moment. Okay, so breathe in through your nose whilst counting to 4 slowly. Feel the air enter your lungs. So then hold your breath inside while counting slowly to 4. Try not to clamp your mouth or nose shut. Then begin slowly to exhale for 4 seconds. Okay? So we're going to go through this again. What we're going to do is we're going to breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're going to hold it 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're going to exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? I probably said that a bit quick. Make it a little bit slower. Okay? So let's do it all together now. Close your eyes. Think of your relaxing place. Okay? So we're going to breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to hold it 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to exhale 1, 2, 3, 4. That's called square breathing, okay, or the 4-4-4 model. Okay, the reason it's called square breathing is you hold it. Think of a square. Hold it for breathe in for 4. Hold it for 4. Breathe out for 4. Breathe in for 4. Hold it for 4. Breathe out for 4. Okay. What that does is it calms your heart rhythm down. Okay. It gives you more air into the lungs, because when you're stressed you tend to breathe quite rapidly. Okay. It gives you more air into the lungs and it calms your heart rhythm down. Okay, and if you're looking at this going, sounds a bit mumbo jumbo, believe me, it works, but you've got to do it for a few minutes. Okay, so breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, do that a few times, and if you can make your 1, 2, 3, 4 a bit longer, so breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out 1, 2, 3, 4. It releases chemical from your system. Okay, so if you want an immediate de-stressor, 4-4-4. Remember 4-4-4. And you can do this as often as you like during the day. It doesn't make any difference, but I would repeat it 4 times. So you could actually go 4-4-4-4, couldn't you? Yeah? Breathe in for 4, hold it for 4, breathe out for 4, and do it 4 times. Okay? Just give yourself that moment. It drops the heart. Okay? It physically slows your heartbeat down, and it gives you more air into the lungs to be able to work with, which means you're more alert and you're able to go and then deal with it. So I hope you like that. I thought I'd put it in there because it's quite a good. You'll normally find this when people have got lots of anxiety or have panic attacks and things like this. You can use this model, but there's nothing stopping you using this model when you're feeling a bit stressed during the day, when you've had 5 emails all saying different things about the same thing you're working on. Just take a moment. Take a moment. 4-4-4-4. Okay, hopefully that will help you guys. Something that I use. Okay. Next one, number 6. Slow down. Okay, slow down. Life won't slow down, but you can. So this is a really good one. If you're driving on the motorway, when you're stressed, you'll be in the fast lane. It's as simple as that. Yeah. Drive in the slow lane for a bit. If you're not the type of person that drives in the slow lane when you got on the motorway, I'm not that type of person. I don't normally sit in the slow lane, right? Give it a go next time you're on the motorway. Drive in the slow lane, yeah? Which might mean you need to give yourself a bit more time to get where you're going, that's fine. Drive in the slow lane. I promise you, it has an amazing effect. It really does when you're not having to get around a car and get to the next one and move out the way and everything else. Just try moving into that slow lane. But to be honest, it could be a little bit of a kind of a lesson for life, that, couldn't it? We live our lives in the fast lane. Our society is fast these days, yeah? Sometimes we need to sit in the slow lane for a bit, okay? And again, if you're going, I've got no time to sit in the slow lane, that's fine, but at some point, if you're always in the fast lane, yeah, you're going to miss your turn. If you are always in the fast lane, you're going to miss the slip road. Sometimes we have to get in the slow lane a bit to get off when we need to get off. So just bear that in mind, okay? Yeah? 5 or 10 more minutes, add 5 or 10 more minutes into for tasks that you need to do, yeah? Take regular breaks. If you sit at your computer for 8 hours, no good. No good. Take regular breaks, okay? You need those breaks. Came in the, that hasn't come in order, has it? Where am I going? Hang on, gone too quick. Gone too quick. Choose priorities. Choose your actions for the day. Have a priority system in place. I run one called Franklin Covey ABC system, okay? Google it, find out, and have a priority system. It will help you, okay? If you run the race as fast as you can, you will miss enjoying the journey on the way. Okay, so that's just a bit of a let's slow down, okay? Number 7, mindfulness. Now I'm not going to go into this in detail because next Friday we've got a session all on mindfulness. But mindfulness is about calming the mind. You might do it with the 4-4-4, okay? You need to learn, understand what triggers are. Repetition is good for triggers, and don't wait for the right mood to do it. You have to do it when you're not in the right mood. But I'm going to do a whole session on mindfulness just before Christmas because it's a great one to take away into the Christmas break and have some time to be able to do it, okay? Number 8, have balance. So it comes back to your wheel that we talked about. So earlier on we used it as a diagnostic tool to find out what was causing you stress. Now you're going to look at it and go, do I have balance in my wellness wheel? Do I have the same balance of work to social, to environment, to physical exercise, to spiritual? Or is my work-life balance out, for argument's sake? Or is my social and physical balance out? Whatever it may be. So this is about going, do I have balance with these things? Do I make time and have balance across this wheel? So again, if you didn't take a screenshot before, please take it now. Okay, because again, really, really useful to look at the different areas of your life and have balance, because that will be a de-stressor. You won't get stressed as much, okay? Number 9, talk it out. Talk to somebody if you're stressed. Friends, family, professionals. Go onto the website because the NHS has lots of talking therapies available for people, okay? The stigma is gone. Okay? If you want to go and see a counsellor, you haven't got to be crazy anymore. Okay? 10 years ago, if you saw a counsellor, crazy, something wrong with you. All rubbish, yeah? Go and talk it out. I've seen counsellors. I saw a counsellor when I was going through divorce. Yeah, because I was hurting, I was stressed, I was anxious, I went and somebody helped me. Go and talk to people when you're feeling stressed. Get it out. If you get it out, you're half the battle is won. You've talked to somebody, you've got it through, you've got it out. Okay? So please go and talk it out if you can. And finally, to finish the session, make sure you're talking to yourself in the right way. You guys knew that I was always going to come back to this point when it talks about stress. Remember, stress is hours that we generate. So, if we are talking to ourselves in the right way, we can eliminate stress triggers. So find out what causes the triggers. What are the triggers? Do that diagnostic work on the wellness wheel. Find out what those triggers are, and then either avoid them or come up with a way to deal with them more effectively.